Hi, I'm Daniel Ulm, and I will be speaking on the over effects of electronic use in young adults. And I just want to ask you a question just to kind of put you in the mindset of what I'm trying to convey here is, have you ever been eating with your friends or family when one person pulls out their phone and just completely drifts out of the conversation? Well, this is very common for me. I've even done it myself. The lack of communication is really what's hurting the sociability of young adults today. The very thing that helps us connect has become a detriment to people skills that adults so desperately need. Numerous studies have shown that the overuse of electronics and excessive screen time has had detrimental effects on social skills, concentration, and attention span. Reports suggest rising rates of distress, anxiety, and distraction correlated with heavy smartphone and social media use among young adults. These are words from Jane Roberts from her article Smartphone Addiction in College in the New York Times. This heavy negative impact from smartphone usage would be plenty of reason to put down the phone more often. However, smartphone usage has become such a incremental part of young people's lives that shutting it off is really a struggle. Smartphones can end up being more addictive than drugs in many ways, and if they get out of hand, they could destroy an entire generation, really. I've struggled with smartphone usage, and I end up missing out on the beauties of life just by being on it. Another overlooked consequence is how screens disrupt sleep. Screens and devices can disrupt sleep, i.e., blue light, late night use, and all that, which can worsen mood. This is a segment pulled from Dean Blazer's "Is a Rise in Teen Depression Linked to Technology and Social Media?" This is from the Mayo Clinic. Overusage of electronics even affects us when we're not on them. Late night scrolling or streaming keeps the brain overstimulated when it should be winding down, and the blue light from screens tricks our minds into thinking it's still daytime. This means falling asleep becomes harder, and even when we do fall asleep, the quality of rest is often worse. Poor sleep doesn't just make us tired. It can affect our mood, increase stress, and even fuel feelings of anxiety and depression. There have been many days when I wake up groggy, frustrated, and unmotivated because my phone kept me awake all night. In fact, it happened last night before a test, and it was quite detrimental. This cycle will inevitably chip away at our mental health and making it harder to stay focused on what really matters. Think about how many times we scroll mindlessly instead of talking with people right in front of us. The act of checking a notification or opening an app becomes so integrated into our minds that we barely notice it happening. However, every time this happens, we miss the small opportunities to create memories in our mind, strengthen relationships, and really even fully experience the present. If we learn to be more intentional with our phone use, setting limits, or putting the device away during critical moments, we can begin to restore the attention and connection that young adults need. We often tell ourselves that we don't have time, but the truth is, hours spent scrolling could easily turn into real experiences. Imagine swapping just 30 minutes of TikTok before bed for talking with a friend, reading a book, going on a late night drive, or getting some homework done. There's so many possibilities to just integrate better uses of time in your life. These are moments that build memories and strengthen relationships, not the ones spent staring at a glowing screen. In fact, a Pew Research study found that nearly half of young adults say they're online almost constantly, meaning a massive portion of our days are disappearing into meaningless apps. Reclaiming even a fraction of that time could completely change the way we experience college relationships. You don't need to completely disconnect to make a difference. Small changes are powerful. Try setting up app limits, turning off unnecessary notifications, or placing your phone out of reach during meals or conversations. I personally shut off my Snapchat notifications, and it has made my mind far less cluttered. I've been able to enjoy meals without a constant notification taking me away from the present. Some people even schedule phone-free hours each day, and I think that's a great idea. The phone-free hours help them refocus and be present, and I completely agree. Some people even I would do this while focusing on homework, personally. I couldn't get any work done if my phone were next to me while I was doing an assignment. If we can all be a little bit more intentional with how we use our devices, we can take back control of our time, improving our health, and building genuine connections that make life meaningful. In fact, the American Academy of Pediatrics (AAP) encourages families to develop personalized media plans tailored to their children's age, health, personality, and development stage. I personally agree with this and plan to implement this in my family, however far away that is, because I am in college. I've had some friends whose parents had them on a screen timer when they were younger, and I remember they seemed more lively and enjoyable compared to those who weren't. We might think of this as childish now that we are in college. However, I still believe it could be a very effective strategy to reduce screen time and ultimately lead us to a better life, even if we might get teased occasionally for it. By being more intentional with how we use our phones, we can reclaim our time, improve our focus, and strengthen the real connections that matter most. It's time to look up from the screen and start fully living in the moments that make life meaningful.